Hey guys, Cody with CJC Off-Road. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about whether or not you wanna purchase a gas or diesel truck. Now, over the years, a lot of you have come to us, whether purchasing a new truck, deciding to upgrade your truck, or even purchase a new to you used truck. We get a ton of phone calls and emails asking, do you really think I should need the diesel? Is a diesel a good idea for me? This is what I do with my truck XXX and X. Or do I just go with a gas truck? I'll save money on maintenance, I'll save money on the initial purchase, etc. So we figured we'd do a quick video breakdown with our opinion on the matter. Now, a lot of this is gonna be opinion based. So if you do have an Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint that you've built, saved to your computer, please don't post it down below. This is very much an opinion based thing. Personally, I've owned roughly over 30 diesel trucks in the last 18 years or so, as well as Cole, who also I run this business with. So I would say we do have a pretty good opinion on gas versus diesel. We've also owned our shop power wagons. We've worked on countless gas powered trucks for customers. We talk to our customers, get their opinion, just try to keep an overall pulse on the different trucks on the market. And this video is gonna be my personal breakdown on the situation. The number one argument I see online when it comes to this discussion is upfront costs and maintenance costs. Upfront costs, it does seem to average between $6,000 and I think $12,000 to upgrade to one of the diesel engines versus the gas engines on these 2500 and 3500 trucks. And that does seem to also reflect on the used price values. Now that will be kind of segue into another category that I was supposed to do in this video of resale value, so I'll try to hold that a little bit back, as well as maintenance costs on the diesel trucks versus gas trucks. I have seen countless literal spreadsheets on the Facebook groups of guys saying, hey, this is what's going to cost to own a 6.7 over X amount of years, and this is how much it's going to cost to run the gas version. Now with that said, let's just go with the new prices. Yes, they are more expensive. However, you do get that money back, whether you're trading in the vehicle, whether you're selling a private party. It does not take a lot of time to notice on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Auto Trader, that the diesel variations of all of these trucks fetch a lot more money as compared to their gas counterparts. Stands for the Power Wagon truck, which is kind of in a category of its own as a specialty vehicle. Now, maintenance-wise, it's gonna be something, again, very varied. There's gonna be guys who are gonna comment down below with their exact numbers, comparing filter part numbers, oil costs, and the like. In the grand scheme of things, I think if the tipping point for you buying one of these trucks is $300 a year in maintenance, I don't know if that's a very good argument when we're discussing trucks that can now cost over $100,000, right? So also, if you're using this to, whether you're a retiree that's gonna be towing a camper, putting a ton of weight in the truck, or whatever your use is, again, I just don't think, especially when speaking almost in recreational terms, that that should be the tipping point in choosing your engine, because in practicality, the actual driving experience, the actual performance of the engine is gonna be much more important than that $300 of maintenance per year, et cetera, et cetera. I know it does feel like this section's very slanted towards diesel trucks, but one thing I do want to mention is like how the long-term maintenance cost is going to differ between the two platforms. Now, maintenance initially, as I referred to, was essentially covering oil changes, things like that. But if we get into owning both of these platforms outside of warranty, needing to maybe replace an injector or fuel pump, things like that, that is where there's an extreme gap in the possible maintenance costs, with the diesel being much more. So if that is a concern and we're talking about vehicles out of warranty, I think the spread on maintenance costs between the diesel and the gas truck does get to be much greater, leaning towards the gas truck being kind of the cheaper option there. However, that could be the same thing as discussing your dinner option, right? You can order a cheeseburger, but if you order it with no cheese or bacon, you're still getting a burger, but it will not taste as good. You get a cheeseburger with bacon, it's going to taste better. That segues into performance on diesel trucks and fuel economy. With fuel economy being our next point, in general, the overall scope, the fuel economy on these trucks is better with a diesel truck. Now again, I've seen that argued online. However, real life use just does not correlate what they're saying. We, on whether it is the third gen Ram trucks, the older GM trucks, all the way up to the current GM, Ram, and Ford diesel trucks, have found that the fuel economy in general is better on these trucks. Now, especially when we get to a 37-inch tire, right? If you're watching this channel, you probably found it by wanting a cool lifted truck with big tires. When you go that route, the fuel economy gains go from slight to quite dramatic. A lifted, say a Power Wagon on 37-inch tires, the fuel economy there is gonna be significantly less as compared to the 6.7 diesel on the same 37-inch tires. Now again, I've seen it argued online. However, we own both at the shop. We've taken our shop Power Wagon down to Mexico. And if we would have taken that same truck as a 6.7 diesel on that trip, our fuel costs would have literally been half because there was a 6.7 diesel also on that trip. So it's very easy to see side by side a 37-inch tired truck pushing hard in the dirt, how big the gap did get in fuel economy from the gas engine to the diesel engine. Now, in fact, on that trip, our rough math is that with the Power Wagon down there, it cost us 70 cents per mile with the local fuel costs as well as just the fuel consumption on the Power Wagon. Again, versus the diesel, it would have literally been half of that based upon our discussion with the other 6.7 diesel owner on that trip. So while you might not be taking your 25 or 3500 through the whoops in Mexico, you very well could be using it on a cross-country road trip. We just had a lot of customers that left for all over the country for the summer, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, etc. All of those customers, if they were in a gasoline truck, will definitely be consuming more fuel towing as compared to their diesel counterparts. So again, shrinking that difference in cost of maintenance as well as the initial purchase price, again, tipping my head towards the diesel engine. Now, on the discussion of fuel economy, you also have the fuel range. So if you're burning more fuel, that same given tank size is going to get you less mileage. So if you are planning on using the truck for a lot of road trips, towing on long road trips, etc., you are just going to see more range out of the diesel platform as compared to the gas platform. Not to mention all the aftermarket tank options that are now existing as 50 state legal tank replacements for the diesel trucks. They're going to allow you to increase your fuel capacity. So personally on my Super Duty, I'm now up to 60 gallons of fuel capacity, which if I'm not towing, I can, with my camper, and I can get 750 to 800 miles on a single tank, which will essentially allow me to traverse multiple states depending on where you're located without even having to stop to fuel up, which is really cool. Now we're going to look at performance. Now this is where a lot of people say they actually prefer the gas engine, and that is the very linear acceleration curve that the gas engine has. There is no delay or lag when building boost or power like you see on a diesel truck. So it's very linear, very responsive. So if you're driving around town in heavy traffic, the gasoline engine is going to feel very familiar. While the diesel engines, again, the curve is going to be a little bit more curved, if you will, when it comes to the acceleration. So you're kind of waiting for the boost to build depending on your year, or that's just the nature of the diesel engine. And again, the throttle response is just a little bit different. So a lot of people do prefer the gas engine feel. Now, with that said, performance gains, quick acceleration that you might see with the gasoline engine, overall towing performance, hauling performance, that's where the diesel engine is really going to shine, right? We're essentially in the middle of a horsepower and a torque war between the big three manufacturers as it pertains to diesel performance, and the current options are simply amazing. My current, again, Super Duty being the high output 6.7 from Ford, I can have a almost 2,000 pound camper in the bed, hook up an all steel trailer, put a fully caged off-road vehicle on it, and pass basically anyone I want pulling grades in this truck. And you literally do not see the gauges or the temperatures even change. You don't see the range change. It really is cool how much power these diesels have currently. So with that said, a lot of us are looking at buying these trucks as we do want them as a commuter, but something that we can use for our different hobbies over the weekend, right? So if your hobby, whether that's hunting, four-wheeling with a Jeep, going to the desert with a pruner, or even a race vehicle, etc., if you are going to be loading down the truck and want still very good road manners, highway performance, that's where the diesel engine is still going to win, because it's going to be a lot less impacted by the load as compared to the gasoline engine, where, as we found out with our Power Wagon, we put a pop-up tent camper, a ton of spare supplies in the rear, and we immediately saw a loss in fuel range, something that you don't see as much with the diesel trucks. So again, if you are buying one of these trucks to both satisfy the niche of a solid daily driver as well as a tool for your hobbies, that's where we lean towards the diesel engine again. From there, resale value, but that does kind of tie into the new purchase price, because in our experience, the new purchase price difference from the diesel engine to the gas engine tends to follow resale value. So as the vehicle gets older, the resale value gaps tend to stay the same. Right now, I would say if I went and tried to find a third gen Power Wagon, those trucks are kind of crazy cheap currently, sub $20,000 I've seen. However, you take a diesel third gen truck, and most of those are going for upwards of almost $30,000 with respect to reasonable mileage ranges and conditions. That's just gonna be one example, but again, in our experience, buying and selling a lot of trucks on the back end, it does kind of follow that same trend. So while you did or are planning on spending more on the diesel engine, that money is not gonna go to thin air, because whether, again, you're trading in the vehicle, you're gonna sell it private party, that increase in value does follow the truck for the lifetime of its existence. Now, to wrap this video up, it is blatantly clear that I personally think it is very much worth springing for the diesel, again, whether you are buying a new or used truck. There are a few exceptions. Obviously, people are going to bring up the fleet argument. Why do fleet companies use gasoline vehicles? Well, most fleets are run by penny pinchers. They're going to create a spreadsheet, look at the maintenance costs. Now, it's a given spread across 30 different trucks that, X amount of maintenance is going to save the company a lot of money the more vehicles they own. That's a given. We're pertaining this whole conversation to enthusiasts like us who want to build cool trucks and use them not only as daily drivers, but fun vehicles on the weekend. Now, again, the diesel argument is very strong, in my opinion. However, there are a few exceptions. If you are somewhere sub-zero, I know there's a ton of issues with the DEF systems and or the diesel fuel systems gelling. That is where a gasoline engine obviously is going to win. However, in Southern California, it's really not much of a consideration, even in our local mountains. From there, you have the Ram Power Wagon trucks, right? We even bought one of those. It's an extremely cool truck. It's going to be a 2500 truck. It's going to be a little bit lighter thanks to that gas engine. It's going to be very nimble, very light on its feet, very fun whether you're using it in the desert or in the rocks. But again, there is some drawbacks, as we found with our fully built Ram Power Wagon, that hauling a ton of weight, the lack of being able to tow well with a heavy load, because it can tow it, it just doesn't do it as well as a diesel option, and things like that, that the diesel, depending on your use, was a better option. However, the Ram Power Wagon trucks are a ton of fun. Now, also the Ford 7.3 trucks, that are superchargers on the market. I think I've even heard some turbo kits coming out. So that's a very fun platform to modify if you're into supercharging and doing specific engine modifications. Those trucks absolutely rip. However, again, you do take that high performance engine, you put a big load on the back, all that means is you're burning more fuel. That's how it's making more power. So it's all something to consider. Now, I do always, when I do these videos, try to get ahead of some of the comments down below. I know the last one's gonna be, why would I wanna buy a modern day diesel truck with all the emissions nonsense when I can get a gas truck that still just has this standard catalytic converter, that's been on gasoline engines since, I don't even know, the 70s? The answer is really that the emissions are not a huge issue. Now, you might be on Facebook groups, you might see people spilling their guts about how much they hate this truck and how it's ruined their life because of the cost. That is such a small fraction of the actual owners. We work on 2 to 3 trucks in our shop daily. Again, basically all 25 or 3,500 trucks, a lot of them diesel, but plenty of gas owners as well. And if we just went across our whole customer pool, the amount of customers that actually have true emissions or even transmission issues for that as it pertains to the Ram trucks is very, very minimal. I would say maybe once or twice a year you might hear some crazy story, but we actually haven't really even seen that. And when we do hear these stories, these customers still own these same trucks and are still bringing them in to be modified. So for how much of a hassle it actually was, I don't even know, because I figured if it was a real lemon, they would have got rid of it. So yeah, in our experience and even talking with our customers, the issues of transmissions or emissions is not a huge issue as it pertains to the overall market. But again, you might find some guys on Facebook groups, on forums who do have a horror story. You can pretty much find that amongst any automotive platform, any hobby, things like that. People only come to the internet to complain when something went wrong, not when they truly love something. They're probably just gonna be out enjoying it if that's the case. So to wrap this long-winded video up, my preference is gonna be for the diesel platform, resale, performance, overall fun we can have with the truck. And we actually didn't even scratch the surface of diesel modifications, which seems to be a little bit of a underground movement these days, but there's a ton of fun that you can have with the diesel trucks. And again, the upfront cost does not only yield more performance, but better resale value as well. So for me, if I was continuing to purchase vehicles, I'm gonna be looking at the diesel option.